Imagine falling in love for the first time, believing in forever, only to have everything you trusted shattered. Now imagine that betrayal becoming the fuel for your art, your public persona, and even your own healing. That's exactly what just happened with Selena Gomez. She posted something raw and emotional about her first love betrayal, and people all around the world are connecting the dots. The way she framed it, the timing, the emotion, it's undeniable. Fans aren't just guessing anymore. They are sure she's opening up about a past that still haunts her today. So what did Selena actually reveal, and why is it shaking people up this much? Her most recent project, the album I Said I Love You First, released on March 21st, 2025, is the centerpiece of this story. It's deeply personal, almost like she took pages out of her diary and turned them into songs. The record doesn't just show heartbreak. It traces a journey. It starts from the pain of a past relationship, goes through the struggle of betrayal and disappointment, and then moves toward the love she has now with Benny Blanco. But here's the thing. Some of the songs don't sound like they're written for him. Instead, they carry the sting of old wounds, ones only someone from her past could have caused. One of the biggest standouts is the track You Said You Were Sorry. The lyrics describe someone who made promises but never really meant them. Someone who pretended to apologize without truly changing. It's not just heartbreak, it's the kind of pain that lingers because it feels unfair. Another song, How Does It Feel to Be Forgotten, hits even harder. The tone of the lyrics is sharp, almost like she's directly confronting someone who left her behind emotionally while she still cared deeply. Fans listening to these tracks can't help but think of her most famous relationship, the one that defined her youth, the one she's never fully escaped from in the public eye. The title of the album itself, I Said I Love You First, adds another layer to the mystery. It suggests she was always the one giving more, always the one stepping forward in love while the other person held back. It's a bold statement, and it matches perfectly with what Benny Blanco recently shared. In an interview, Benny revealed that Selena was the first to say I love you between them, blurted out while she was coming out of anesthesia after hand surgery. He teased her about it, saying she stole the moment he had planned. On the surface, that sounds sweet, but when you put it next to an album full of songs about unbalanced love and betrayal, the message changes. It's almost like Selena is showing how different love feels now compared to her past, and how saying it first before meant vulnerability rather than comfort. This leads us straight to the question everyone is asking. Who is she talking about? The obvious name that comes up is Justin Bieber. Their relationship was messy, public, and painful. They had breakups and makeups that played out like a drama series in front of the entire world. Lyrics about betrayal, about apologies that never came, about emotional distance. It all fits. Fans are convinced that certain tracks, especially How Does It Feel to Be Forgotten, are aimed directly at Justin. The timing of the release, the choice of words, even the emotion in her voice when performing these songs, it's all too close to ignore. At the same time, Benny Blanco's presence in her life adds contrast. Some songs are clearly about him, moments of safety, warmth, and renewal, but those aren't the songs people are zeroing in on. The betrayal isn't his. The haunting stories belong to someone else, and that someone else keeps pulling Justin's name back into the conversation. This isn't just about old wounds either. It has an effect on all her relationships today. With Justin, the references stir up old divides between fans, reigniting debates that had cooled down for years. Every lyric feels like a reminder of what happened between them, and it's hard not to imagine how he might feel seeing all of this come back to life. With Benny, the effect is the opposite. The raw honesty Selena puts into her songs seems to highlight just how different things are now. She isn't trapped in toxicity anymore. She's using her pain as proof that she's grown, and Benny becomes the symbol of where she's landed after everything. Still, it also places pressure on their relationship. Fans are always comparing her past versus her present, betrayal versus loyalty, heartbreak versus healing. From a career perspective, Selena may have just solidified her legacy with this album. Vulnerability sells, and not in a shallow way. Fans respect artists who tell the truth, who don't shy away from their scars. Albums that deal with betrayal and healing tend to resonate deeply because listeners feel their own stories reflected back at them. Already, the songs believed to reference Justin are getting the most attention. Fans dissect every lyric, every interview, every post she makes, trying to piece together the hidden story. And while some of them celebrate her honesty, others feel protective, worried she might be exposing too much of herself. What makes this moment even more striking is the timing of her emotional post. Selena didn't just release her album and move on, she followed it up with a heartfelt message that hinted directly at her first love betrayal. Fans read it as her way of confirming everything the songs already suggested. She didn't name names, but the way she described it, trust shattered, feeling abandoned, the kind of betrayal that never leaves you, it's impossible not to think of her most famous ex. The language she used almost felt like closure, but at the same time, it reopened old wounds in public. Reactions online exploded. People started pulling up old clips of her and Justin, interviews, even past performances, comparing her expressions then to her lyrics now. Some pointed out how often she spoke in the past about being misunderstood, about passion being mistaken for love, and how toxic first loves can be. Her fans argue that this album finally ties those old comments together. It's not speculation anymore. It's the clearest window she's given into what really went on behind closed doors. There's another interesting angle, the way she structured the album. It doesn't just stay in pain, it moves. The first half is drenched in heartbreak and disappointment, but by the second half, the tone shifts. That shift, many believe, reflects her journey from the betrayal of Justin to the love she has now with Benny. It's almost like she wanted the world to hear not just the wounds, but also the healing. But even in the lighter songs, the shadow of that first love lingers. It's proof that betrayal changes you forever, even if you find happiness later. The ripple effects of this revelation are huge. Justin, who has tried to keep his current life with Hailey Bieber away from Selena-related drama, is once again pulled back into the spotlight. Every headline about Selena's new music somehow circles back to him. Fans of both sides clash online, just like they did years ago, and the cycle starts all over again. It's not just gossip. It's shaping the way people view his past choices and his current image. The betrayal she's describing might have happened years ago, but its consequences are still unfolding in 2025. For Benny, the impact is equally strong. He becomes the safe figure in her story, the man she contrasts her painful past against. People admire how he supports her honesty, even when it means revisiting ugly parts of her life before him. But being compared to someone as notorious as Justin also means he's under a constant microscope. Every gesture, every word, every interview he gives gets measured against the standard of being the anti-Bieber. That can be flattering, but it can also create a pressure that's difficult to live with in the long run. Selena herself gains a new kind of credibility through all this. Her honesty makes her more respected as an artist. Fans see her not just as a celebrity, but as someone who has lived through pain and turned it into something meaningful. That's why songs like You Said You Were Sorry and How Does It Feel to Be Forgotten don't just feel like music. They feel like confessions. They carry the weight of truth. The kind of truth that stirs people because they know it comes from lived experience. And that's exactly why this album is being talked about as one of the defining moments of her career. Of course, not everyone is celebrating. Some critics argue that reopening old wounds could hold her back from fully moving on. Others say that by leaving just enough clues, she's encouraging constant speculation instead of peace. But that tension, the balance between honesty and privacy, is what makes Selena stand out. She doesn't silence her past, but she also doesn't lay everything bare. She tells her story in her own way, and that's what keeps people hooked. Looking ahead, there are already whispers that Selena might release a deluxe version of the album with bonus tracks. If that happens, fans are certain those songs will hold even more details about her past relationship. Music videos, too, are expected to visually dramatize the betrayal and healing she's been singing about. That means we could see symbolic nods to her first love and the heartbreak he caused, giving fans even more to decode. So where does this leave us? Selena Gomez has transformed her first love betrayal into art that resonates on a massive scale. She's reminded the world that heartbreak doesn't just vanish. It leaves marks that shape who you become. For her, those marks turned into lyrics, melodies, and a public story that people can't stop talking about. Whether she ever openly names Justin or continues to let the songs speak for themselves, the message is already clear. She's no longer defined by that betrayal. She's defining herself by what she's done with it. And that's why this chapter feels different. It's not just about revisiting old pain. It's about showing how pain becomes power, how betrayal becomes art, and how a first love that broke her ended up fueling one of the strongest eras of her career. For fans, it's a reminder that even the darkest parts of our past can become the brightest parts of our story, if we're brave enough to tell them.